Yeah, welcome back to a new series called The Most Powerful Black Man of the Last 500 Years, where we discuss life during the reign of King Henri Christophe. Now, you better stay up to date. Parts 1 to 4, we discuss the rise, the reign, and the downfall. Now, in this part, and the ones that are going to follow afterwards, we are going to get into the official government letters written by Christophe himself and those who sent letters to him. And before we get started, we're going to discuss the last part 4, the one I dropped yesterday. You know what makes me the most upset about Christophe's story is the fact that out of the 5 sons that he claimed on official royal documents, 2 of them actually had their lives taken by his enemies. On official documents, Christophe had 1 wife, 3 mistresses, and the ones that he had with the queen, his official wife, both of his sons were assassinated. His first son was assassinated by the French government in 1805. After the war, after independence was declared, he still had his oldest son in France because typically the custom of the colony, if you are, a man of elite status, the typical thing you do is you send your son to France to get educated, to go to the military academies, etc., etc. So during peacetime with France in the 1790s, when they abolished slavery, during that time, Christophe sent his oldest son to France. And by the time independence was declared, his son ended up dying under mysterious means in 1805. And then the second son, the second heir to the throne, Prince Jacques Victor, the one who was born after 1804. So the only thing he knew was elite status. The only thing he knew was growing up in the palace, right? He don't know nothing about the War of Independence. He was born a few months after independence was declared. He was an 1804 baby. He actually ended up losing his life in his father's coup d'etat. As we know, Christophe committed suicide. The generals of the army leading the coup d'etat took over the government and they assassinated Prince Jacques Victor. And in fact, that was my apologies. He lost 3 of his sons because another one of his sons also during those assassinations also lost his life, Prince Armand Eugene. And nobody knows who his mother is because she is not on official royal documents. So Christophe had a lot of kids, I believe 8 kids in total, 5 boys, 3 girls, lost 3 of his boys through the means of assassination and lost another one of his boys through illness in 1815. And in fact, a daughter that he had with one of his mistresses, I believe the daughter was named Blaisine. She went on to have a son by the name of Pierre-Alexis, who ended up becoming the president of Haiti in the early 1900s. So basically, one of his side chicks had a son, and that son ended up rising to the position of president about 100 years ago. And Pierre-Alexis was the husband of Celestina Pierrot, the daughter of Jean-Louis Michel Pierrot, Haitian general in the Revolutionary Army and member of Christophe's royal court in the Kingdom of Haiti. And General Pierrot actually served as president in the 1840s, 20 years after Christophe had died. And the wife of General Pierrot was Cécile Fatima. She was actually the voodoo quote-unquote priestess who led the 1791 ceremony at Bois Caiman, where all the slaves had reunited for the first time, thousands and thousands of us from neighboring plantations before they went on the attack. She was the legendary female who led that ceremony. She went on to marry General Jean-Louis Michel Pierrot, who was the member in Christophe's royal court, and she was the half-sister of Christophe's wife, Queen Marie-Louise Quavidad, and she had a daughter by the name of Celestina Pierrot, who married Pierre-Alexis, who, like I said, was the son of one of Christophe's official royal mistresses. So as you can see, even long after Christophe had died, even long after he left, his presence and bloodline is still felt. Let's jump back into it. The arrival of Madame Christophe and her 2 daughters in England placed the abolitionists in a new position. Since the beginning, their efforts had been at a distance. Now they were confronted with the care of these unfortunate women. I saw the ex-queen of Haiti yesterday and her 2 daughters, wrote Zachary Macaulay to his wife on September 20th, 1821. If she had, you might have rested perfectly easy on the score of morals. I have no doubt, whatever, that the young women are perfectly modest and virtuous. Neither mother nor daughters will be dependent on anyone except for counsel and kindness in this land of strangers. They will be amply provided for from their own resources. So basically saying, listen, Madame Christophe, Queen Marie-Louise Quavidad, her daughters, listen, they got that paper. You dig? It is said that Christophe left behind somewhere between $70 million and $100 million for his wife and children. Translated to the currency of the time, it would be around like $3 million, $4 million. And it is said that when President Jean-Pierre Boyer invaded the kingdom and incorporated Christophe's territory, it is said that they found close to 250 racks in the palace and about $40 million in the damn citadel. 250 racks in 1820, translated to today's currency, would be about $6.3 million. $40 million in 1820, translated to today's currency, would be about $10 billion in modern US dollars. So essentially, Christophe's wife and daughters were able to escape the island with about $70-80 million, and Christophe left behind about $11 billion. Now, it's my opinion that she did not know that he had all that paper stashed away somewhere. In fact, In my opinion, I don't even think that he even told her. He probably told her, look, I got about 70, 80 million for you. You're going to be straight. And that 10 billion essentially was going to go to the construction of the country. And that is why Christophe never allowed any foreigners to even ascend the mountain towards the citadel. That is why Christophe would be up in the citadel chilling. Nobody knows what he's even doing. And only certain people would be allowed up in the citadel. Members of the royal family and also high members of government. It wouldn't just be something that's a free-for-all. Y'all remember in part 1 or 2, those 2 white boys from England tried to go up the mountain to the citadel. They spent the night in jail. So the citadel was top secret. And as we know, obviously, Jean-Pierre Boyer rode in on his army 20,000 deep, and he accumulated all of those assets left behind by Christophe. And he did not do a damn thing with it. He just let everything Christophe build fall into ruin. And I'm sure the French were definitely happy when the mulatto generals came to power and began to rule over the entire island. Oh man, I mean, what? Our sons are in power? Our nephews are in power? Our grandsons are in power? Oh man, listen, there was probably celebrations going on in France, bro. The French royal family was, oh man, listen, what? Our cousins are on the throne in Haiti? Oh, we lit, we about to be back, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it is what it is, man. But let's jump back into it. Clarkson and his wife received Christophe's family as house guests for nearly a year. Their gentle dispositions, their gentle and correct manners, and their enlightened minds soon won the affection of the Clarksons. Wishing to free them from any worries, Clarkson not only insisted upon a curtailment of their expenses while they were his guests, but also supervised the investment of their funds, including the money realized by the sale of their jewels, and the balance, £5,000 and £6,000, which the king had sent to him. So now Christophe's wife and his daughters, they're in England, right? So now they selling their jewelry, they selling the ice, you know what I mean? And in fact, Christophe had sent £11,000 to Clarkson because I guess he was going on political missions running around Europe on behalf of Christophe, and translated that £11,000 to modern day currency. That would be about $1.1 million or 1.1 million pounds, I should say. So listen, man, Christophe, big paper, big racks. He threw $1 million at Thomas Clarkson like, yo, bro, go handle my business, man. You know what I'm saying? Go handle my business, playboy. Y'all got to keep in mind, Christophe is now passed away, 1820. Black men are still, by and large, under the whip and chain of chattel slavery. So this is what makes everything happening throughout the life of Christophe so enormous, because of the society that he was currently navigating and that is still currently going on. So even his wife and the daughters, you're talking about a group of 3 black women that got close to $100 million to play with right now. All thanks to the genius and the work and the grind of their father and her husband. So listen, man, handle your business, man, because when you die, your family gonna thank you for it. Your family gonna be blessed when you pass away if you handle your business properly. And it's no surprise why Christophe died the way he died, why he died with no fear, why he died with no worries, because he knew my family gonna be all right. He had that one final conversation with his wife, with his daughters. It doesn't really say where his son was. I'm assuming Prince Armand Eugene and Prince Jacques Victor were probably leading the troops against the insurgents. They're probably against the defending army. And unfortunately, they lost their life in the coup d'etat. But listen, handle your business. Your family gonna thank you for it. Let's get back into it. Some people describe Christophe as often cruel and overbearing. Other people described him as having a spirit of toleration and love of his subjects. When he came to power, in the midst of anarchy and disorder, he correctly estimated the people he was called upon to rule. The severest measures were necessary. Any sign of weakness threatened the success of his ambitions and his life as well. But even if Christophe failed in self-mastery, his restless and impatient spirit, rising above personal gratification, never ceased to envisage the future of the Haitian people. If God blesses my handiwork and grants me sufficient time, he had written, I hope that the inhabitants of Haiti, overcoming the shameful prejudice which has too long weighed upon them, will soon astonish the world by their knowledge. He was cut off in the midst of his endeavors, his work unfinished, yet he was, in the fullest sense of the term, a great man when we consider his entire story, wrote Zachary Macaulay. Raised from a slave to the command of armies and absolute power, and called to mind his military achievements and his military career, and the pride and dignity with which he exercised the functions of government, we may rank him among the greatest men who have brightened the pages of history in different ages of the world. So yeah, now we're about to jump into the main event, official government letters, official government documents. And yes, the Christophe's wife and his daughters, they spent a few years in England. Then they left for Italy because I guess the weather and the temperature and the vibe and the climate wasn't really compatible with them. Black women, used to tropical weather, England, cold, nasty, bad air quality, industrial revolution, just terrible oxygen to breathe. So they went to Italy, and I believe both of her daughters died before her. Queen Maria Louise Quavidad died in the 1850s, and I believe she died alone. She did not remarry. I mean, how can you remarry after you married to Christophe, bro? You got to understand, that was her first boyfriend. That was her teenage boyfriend. That was her first puppy love. She was with him since she was 16, maybe even 15. So when he died, I believe she was how old? She was about 41, 42 years old, bro. So you got to understand, that's the only man she ever been with. And that's like the most powerful black man on the face of the earth. So at the end of the day, how could you replace Christophe, bro? What's she gonna get with one of these white boys? These white boys don't even got money like Christophe, bro. Get out of here, man. You know what I'm saying? She can't replace that man. She was with that man for a very long time. So at the end of the day, I could understand why she never remarried. It would never be the same, man. But I'm sure she lived an extremely comfortable life for the rest of her days. Let's jump into the letters. Now, the first few letters is going to be from the king to his son. These are very short. These are going to be like the intro, the appetizers, before we get into the meat of the sandwich. You know what I'm saying? The entrees, I should say. Pause. King Henry to his son at the palace, Sanssouci, the 19th of August, 1813, in the 10th year of our independence. To the Prince Royal, I'm sending you, my dear son, a sample of the grapes from my garden at Mont Saint Nicolas. As a mark of my affectionate remembrance, I embrace you with all my heart. Your loving father, Henry. King Henry to his son at the palace, 17th of October, 1813, 10th year of our independence. To my dear son, the Prince Royal, I received successfully, my son, the 4 specimens of writing you addressed to me, and though I find nothing to criticize in your hand, which seems to me rather good, I have reason to complain of your behavior and of your character. Those in charge of your deportment and education are dissatisfied with you. Do you imagine I can feel otherwise myself? I am informed that you have mistreated your servants. That is not commendable. If you are anxious to merit my esteem and affection, that is not the way to go about it, but rather by means of a more proper conduct, submissiveness to the counsel and advice of those qualified to give them to you, and an affability and kindliness which will make all cherish you. Though I have delayed writing you until now, because of the press of affairs, and though I have been unable to return to the capital, I shall not forget to speak to you in person about this the first time I see you, and I shall make you more docile to the counsel and advice of those who have a right to offer them to you, and more affable towards the persons who serve you. Your loving father, Henry. So basically, 1813, Prince Jacques Victor, he like 9 years old. He up in the palace. You know what I mean? He flexing on them. He probably telling the servants, man, get my juice, man. You know what I'm saying? Get my rice, man. Get my rice and chicken, man. Listen, man, do you know who my father is, bro? Big General, Big King Christophe, you heard? Front line at the revolution, you heard? You know who my father is, bro. Don't act like you don't know. Don't act like you don't know. Man, give me my rice and chicken and my legume up in here right now, bro. Talking all this nonsense, bro. Prince Jacques Victor the first, you heard? Heir to the throne, you heard? About to be king of Haiti in a few years, you heard? So Prince Jacques Victor, he up in the palace acting up. So Christophe like, listen, I'm about to be at the capital in a little bit. You know what I mean? We're going to have to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have to talk about that. So needless to say, I'm assuming Prince Jacques Victor, he got beat something serious when Christophe pulled up on that chariot, you dig? Let's jump back into it. King Henry to his son, the 12th of December, 1813, 10th year of our independence. To the royal prince, his son, while examining your latest specimen of writing, my dear son, I noted 3 erasures and several other mistakes. Your intention in sending me the samples of your work was doubtless to offer me proof of your application and to put me in a position to judge of your progress. Consequently, you should take care to send nothing unworthy of being seen by me. That is what you failed to do, since you allow me to take note careless errors. Try then, again. So Christophe like, listen, bro, I love you, son, but you sending me all these letters, you must not know who I am, bro. When you write to the king, make sure you know how to spell, little bro. The next letter in this collection is actually a letter that I've actually read aloud on my channel before in an old video I did titled When Black Americans Came to Haiti in 1816. Go check that out. Not gonna read it again. We're gonna skip over to the next one. King Henry to Thomas Clarkson, the 18th of November, 1816, 13th year of our independence. Dear sir and friend, I have read and meditated upon the contents of your letter on the 5th of August with all the attention of which I am capable. I am deeply appreciative and touched by the great interest which you take in the cause of the Africans and their descendants, in the prosperity of Haiti, and in my personal reputation, and therefore I will reply to you with frankness and sincerity which the relation in which we stand to each other requires. I hope that you will thus become acquainted with my character and motives, as I am with yours, and with those of my other honorable friends. Entirely devoted to my project of establishing public education, of extending moral principles as widely as possible, and of concurring with the noble and generous views of our friends in England, I have welcomed with gratitude the teachers and professors whom they sent out to me. As soon as Gulliver and Sanders arrived here, I set them up in the capital and procured them scholars whom they are to instruct according to the Lancasterian method. I am astonished at the effects of this new system and the levels of intelligence which it develops in the pupils. In fact, I consider the sending of these masters as the greatest favor my friends have done me. Mr. Richard Evans, the teacher of art and painting, is established at Sanssouci, and his school is also functioning. I am awaiting the other teachers and professors my friends are to send me, and intend to station them in various cities of the kingdom and to staff the Royal College so as to extend more widely the benefits of public education. I am too desirous of meriting the kindness and esteem which have been shown me, not to make every effort in my power to fulfill the expectations of our honorable friends. Since the first declaration of our independence, the maxim of our government, which preceded mine, as well as my own, had been not to interfere with the internal affairs of our neighbors. We have made this a fundamental article of our Constitution, which we have always believed that we ought to confine ourselves solely to the defense of our territory, to establishing the dominion of law in place of delinquency and disorder, which is the natural consequence of all revolutions, to the rebirth and prosperity of agriculture and commerce. In short, that we should enjoy quietly within our frontiers the liberty and independence which we have bought with our blood. This truth is so evident that it has never been suggested that we had tried in any way to disturb the peace of our nearest neighbors, the Spaniards, or to interfere with their government, though their borders touch ours, and slavery is still established among them. They are united to us by the ties of our good neighborliness and commerce. When the French occupied their capital, I furnished them gratuitously with arms and ammunition upon their own request to help them to drive the French invaders out. My plan of action at that time agreed perfectly with that of the English government, which furnished them with forces and supplies with the same end in view. For a long time past, my ships of war have been used only along the coast and have never traveled any distance from our own shores. The government of His Britannic Majesty cannot, I am certain, be ignorant of this fact. It surely cannot give credit to the false allegations of the planters. Perhaps indeed the knowledge of these facts is not sufficiently circulated throughout the British nation, but the truth must one day be evident, for in the long run it is sure to triumph over imposture. Why then should it be supposed that we intend to deviate from the principles which we have always professed? How can anyone do us the injury of suggesting that we, who have so much reason to be grateful to the government and the people of England for the interest which they have always taken in Haiti, should ever to seek to upset the regime of the British colonies? Is it because these same colonies have experienced trouble and internal commotions? But these have nothing and can have nothing in common with the cause which we defended for more than 27 years. The cause of the Spaniards in South America is no less foreign to us. Nevertheless, it is true, to our deep regret, that in the part of this island which is under the control of General Pichon, the privateers of the Spanish patriots are permitted to take in provisions, arms, and ammunition, and to complete their number of men. They are allowed to sell their prizes. The Haitian ships of that part of the island even sail in company with those of the independents. This is probably what has given rise to the rumors which have circulated, but it would be unjust to confuse that part of the island where disorder still reigns with this government, and to attribute to us actions which are contrary to our principles in the kingdom up north. In common with every good Haitian, and with our honorable friends in England, I deplore the cruel necessity which forced me to take up arms to repel the invasion of General Pichon. My own life, as well as that of my own comrades in arms, was at stake, and I had no other choice. But what have I not done to minimize, as far as I could, the affliction of our civil war? Knowing from experience that our domestic disagreements would serve only to comfort our enemies, I remained on the defensive and trusted that time would calm passions and cool heads. I repeatedly took the initiative and tried to bring General Alexander Pichon back to a proper sense of the duty which he owed to himself as well as the country. Though my attempts to restore peace represented a sacrifice of my pride, I felt that the good of my country and the happiness of my compatriots made an action necessary. Such was my conduct, and I can say with satisfaction that my advances towards a reconciliation were made with all the frankness and sincerity which are natural to my character. What was the result? Each time, an absolute refusal on his part to unite with me for the defense of our country, our endangered country. New insults, threats, and outrages in answer to the most just and honorable proposals which I could offer him. General Pichon had embarked in a cause not on his own, and his efforts to mislead the Haitians under his command will prove fruitless. They are no more disposed to resume the yoke of slavery than are the inhabitants of the northern, eastern, or western parts of the kingdom. It is a consolation to me to see that the great majority of Haitians have reached an understanding, and that a common danger has tacitly united us all, from one end of the island to the other, for we all hate the French and their oppressive government. General Pichon, by refusing to make common cause with me, by keeping up a correspondence with the enemies of the state, by accepting bribes from them, the asylum and protection which he gives the French ex-colonists, has excited just suspicions in the minds of even that part of our people which he has led astray. He is closely watched, and the ruin of his cause is not far distant. The reports I receive from his part of the island are highly satisfactory. The arrival of any sort of French forces would only hasten the complete reunion of all the Haitians. I agree perfectly, dear sir, with all the agreements which you have brought before me. Every one, perhaps of your just reflections and thoughts, had occurred to me before, But what more can I do? My conscience is easy. Despite the lies and reports constantly circulated by General Pinchon and his agents concerning my character and my government, I appeal to God and to mankind as witness to the justice of my intentions and my actions. I leave it to my friends, my fellow citizens, my contemporaries, and to history to decide between the general and myself. It was a great pleasure for me to hear the Emperor of Russia, the other chiefs of Europe, and what General Wellington did to secure the abolition of the slave trade. I am aware how much you yourself labor to the same end, and I am very grateful to you for it. I do not know of any better way of thanking you for your wise and good advice than to beg you to continue to impart to me those observations which your experience with the policy of the European cabinets may suggest to you, and to give me timely notice of the machinations which our enemies may devise against us. I shall always receive with great pleasure any advice which has its object the good of my country. We shall never be again deceived by the French government, for we know so long as it is influenced by the ex-colonists, it can never enter into just notions concerning us. And even if it should be in appearance agree to a few concessions, it would only be for the purpose of deceiving us once again. If France should demand the exclusive commerce of the island, what would this be but a breach of our independence? And what right or title does that nation has to make such a demand? Nor would France be more successful if she brought before the Allied powers the principle of her right of possession. The example which she formerly gave by her conduct toward the United States of America would turn its argument against herself. After having tried to massacre our entire population and failed in the attempt, how could France convince anyone by a declaration that she should rule in Haiti over a free people? Nothing short of absolute independence in both government and commerce will satisfy me. This we shall have, or we will die. The French cabinet has just made a new attempt and again insulted the Haitian people by sending out commissioners, 3 ex-colonists, all of them discredited and disgraced in Haitian eyes. You will see by the public papers which I am sending you the unbecoming, the ridiculous manner in which these men attempted to open negotiations with us, in order to put a stop to the indignities of the French, to end their last hope of deceiving and dividing us, or of achieving their criminal intentions by intrigue. I thought it my duty to publish the enclosed declaration. In this document, you will see the true facts of the situation of Haiti. I beg of you to watch over the interests of the Africans, our brethren, and of the Haitians, their descendants, with your usual care, zeal, and humanity. You, who have been the champion of this noble cause, cannot be indifferent to my solicitation. Believe me, sir, with the greatest consideration and the most cordial friendship, Henri. Next letter. 18th of November, 1816. King Henri to Thomas Clarkson. This one's a bit short. Dear friend, your 2 letters of the 10th of June and the 16th of last August have just reached me. They refer to Mr. Grellet, minister of the gospel belonging to the religious society of the Quakers, instead of political ideas which guide that honorable society. Ideas I fully understand. If Mr. Grellet and his companions visit our country, I shall not fail to receive him with kindness, as you recommend, and to treat him with all the regard which is due him because of his character and the fact that he is your friend. I am delighted to hear that he is a champion of abolishing the slave trade. These sentiments which distinguish the Quakers are certain to earn them my esteem and consideration. I also receive with pleasure the history of the Quakers, which you sent to me by Mr. Prince Saunders, and thank you most heartily for it. With the highest consideration and most cordial friendship, Henri. So yeah, we're going to end part 5 right there. You know what I mean? Some cool little letters right there. It gets greater later. It gets more interesting later. Stay tuned. It's your boy, Neferkari Dessalines, back in the building. Yes, indeed. And I'm gone. Peace.
Reincarnated, I'm back in original fashion. I left on a horse and came back in that ass, and I left with abundance and came back to famine. We used to be pyramids, now we be rapping. Look how the mighty have fallen. Used to be running, now we be walking. When you be cooning, that's when they applauded. Selling your soul, your sons and your daughter. Gotta come up in this shit, they stuck in the mix. Really, my heart it be breaking. That's why I'm stacking that paper and handle my business. Pass it down in generation. Talking about money and power and building a nation. That's a deadly combination. Never be watching the TV, they pushing agendas, falsifying information. Know they got malice intentions. Step in the room and I'm feeling the tension. Enemy watching, he blocking my vision. Pay for the check cause I need my redemption. Building my kingdom, I need it protected. Ready for war like a young Money Congo. Never decided the team is the motto. Up in the crib and I'm whipping up waffles. Up in the crib and I'm smoking gelato. I'm chilling, I'm taking my pain and make it ambition. I'm blessed by the gods, but I ain't religious. I came for the power, they came for the bitch. They making no hourly wage, I got business. This shit is an art and they could never be taught. Selling my soul, I can never be bought. Play with my money, I see you ain't caught. Run to the check and I do it for sport. Babylon falling, I go to to the source. Packing my luggage and go overseas. Shorty be with me and she so elite. Shorty be chocolate, I'm calling her Hershey. Secret intelligence probably gon' murk me. Don't fuck with brands, cause nigga I'm Haitian. Say the wrong shit and get smack in their faces.